excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. You know, one day someone asked me, Ella, why do you do talk shows? Like, why is this so important to you? I said, because I want people to know that God does use us. Because sometimes things don't happen to you. They happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So stay tuned. It's all coming up next. The Ella Johnson Show. Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. It's Saturday night, and again, I am so excited that you guys have taken time out to tune in to my show, because you don't have to. You could be doing anything else, but you decided to tune in tonight, and I'm so glad you did, because I have a very special guest tonight. But I do want to say hello to everyone first. If you're watching from YouTube, thank you so much. Please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel since you're already there. If you're watching from Facebook, please share the broadcast. If you're watching from Blessed TV, hello to all of my friends in Liberia. If you are watching from LinkedIn, welcome to you as well. So you see, guys, there's so many different places that you can watch the show tonight. So thank you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Now, I want to update you guys on some stuff first before we jump right in, because I know you're dying to meet our guest for tonight. But I want to update you guys for my birthday party. Those of you that will come to Orlando and celebrate with me, I just want to let you know that we are planning to get together on that Friday. So if you're going to be in town, and this is obviously for everyone that's already in Orlando, but if you're traveling and you're going to be here that Friday night, please let me know, because we're going to get together that Friday night as well. And if you're wanting to stay around everyone else, also hit me up so I can give you my address so you can kind of find a hotel in the area, or at least the area of the party. Okay, guys? So I got all that out of the way. Another thing I want to update all of my class of 88 people that are watching this broadcast. I want you guys to know that very soon you are going to hear from the planning committee on what we've been working on. And so you know where to go pay and all that kind of stuff. All right? So now that we got all this stuff out of the way, how are you doing, Miss Lillie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I am so excited that you decided to tell your story on the Ella Johnson Show. You are she's not from Monroeville, guys. She's from Atmore. But I mean, Monroeville, Atmore, isn't it kind of all the same, right, Lillie?
It's our road time.
It's right. Listen, we spent just as much time in Atmore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to make my confession right now. I was in the Flamingo every weekend, right? Okay, I got that out of the way. See, that telling you feel good.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, I'm excited because I love to bring people on my show who is ready to tell their story, because we all know that when you're going through something, sometimes it's not just for you. Sometimes it's for the people that are watching you, because there are people that could be living with what Lillie is living with and just don't know it. But you will hear her story and you'll be inspired. So I want you guys to meet this beautiful woman. She is a mother of 3 boys. No, that's got to be challenging. She has 3 sons.
Three grown sons.
And she currently lives in Ohio, but she is Alabama native. So welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Lillie.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So guys, listen, we're gonna jump right in because there's so much to cover. I just want you to think about this. I want you to imagine if you were going through something and one day you decided, let me go to the doctor. Let me try to figure this out, see what's going on. and repeatedly, you're going and going, and you finally find out that it's an incurable disease, how would you feel? Would you still trust God? Because it feels like God may not be in it, but I want you guys to hear this story tonight so that you can be inspired. All right. So, Lillie, tell me, how was it for you growing up in Atmore? What was that like?
Well, from what I can remember, it was great, but we did spend most of our time in Monroeville. So,
Yeah.
kind of
Because Monroeville thought we had it going on back then. And
yeah.
we did, actually.
We came to Monroeville probably every Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And then even after moving to Cleveland, we still would travel back to Monroeville. So
you can't get it out of your system, right?
can't get the red clay dirt out of your system.
Girl, don't get on here and start talking about no red clay dirt. Because see, people out there, these sophisticated folks don't understand we used to eat dirt. They don't understand we used to literally go. They don't understand. I'm trying to tell you. Listen, that's why I love talking to people from Alabama that totally understand what it was like. But it was a good upbringing, would you say?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. What were some of your more fond?
Say that again.
I was going to say, what were your more fonder memories of being in Monroeville? I mean, at Monroeville.
I think the most fond memories would probably be coming back to Monroeville because that's where Auntie Betty lived, and it would be the kids and all of us would be together. So I think that's the most fondest memory we would have because we don't do it anymore.
Oh,
no more coming home.
Yeah. I spend so much time when I do get together with people from Monroeville. That's actually all we talk about are the better times that we had.
Yeah.
But you're not in Alabama anymore. You're in Ohio, but there has to be a lesson. There has to be something that you took from Monroeville that's helping you now as an adult. What would you say that is?
I would probably say the strength to never give up. So I think the strength is what kept me going. That's keeping me going now. So it's like remembering how your mom, my grandmother, how they were strong, no matter what the issue was, they had that strong force behind them. So that's what we need. So that's, I kind of got that now. So I would definitely say it's the strength.
You hit the nail on the head because you know what? I agree. And I concur with you. That's exactly what's helping me to go through life because you can't forget those teachings. Baby, y'all don't understand. You'll understand it better by and by. God's going, all that stuff. Yeah, you hear it. So let's talk a little bit about what you went through. So tell me what you were experiencing when you realized, something's up. What was that like? What were you experiencing?
I was exhausted all the time. And if you know me, I'm always on the move, doing something, painting, doing yard work. I'm busy. I stay busy. All of a sudden, I had no energy to do anything. I didn't want to get out of bed. I was dragging myself to go to work. I was losing my train of thought when I would be doing tasks. I forget what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm doing it. And then it came to the point where it was like I was watching myself work. It was like I was having out-of-body experiences. I kept going to the doctor and said, I'm so tired. I don't know why I'm so tired. I'm sleeping all day, going to bed early, getting up late. Like it was crazy. And I knew it was something wrong. So that was it was draining.
And what did they tell you? What did they tell you when you kept going back and forth to the doctor? They couldn't figure it out.
They did not have a clue what was wrong with me. I was going back to the doctor every other month, and I was persistent because I knew something was wrong. It got to the point the doctor said that he thought that I was psychotic because they couldn't find anything. I was doing lab work, blood work, peeing in the cup. If you name it, I've done it, and they still couldn't diagnose me. So
they ran some test at the end here, and they came back. Tell me what it was like when they called you and told you to come in to discuss what they found.
They didn't. What happened was I went to see a neurologist, and I'm in the the room, the examination
Mhm.
room. She had me write out 5 sentences of the same thing. She was asking me math problems. Um, she was having me to walk. She had, this, they famous for having you to do this. She had been doing all this stuff, and I'm looking like, what is going on? Has nothing to do with how I'm feeling.
Right.
She leave out two. It was two neurologists in the office. They left out. They said we'll be right back. They leave out. They come back. It's three. Instantly, I said, okay. They're about to tell me something I don't want to hear because it's three of them now. So I'm sitting there and I'm scared to death. He had me to do some of the same things that she had just had me do, and they was talking in their codes. Only they knew what they were saying because I'm looking like, what does that mean? What are you saying? What's going on? They didn't say anything. He breaks down and he says, well, you have Parkinson's disease. And I said, what? He says, you have Parkinson's disease. I instantly go stone cold. Couldn't talk. I don't know. It was like I just left my body. And he says to me, it's okay. We've made advances. And I'm looking at him like, do you know how old I am? And you telling me I have Parkinson's disease? I couldn't do anything. I didn't cry and didn't cry or anything until I got to where my aunt and cousin was downstairs, and I lost it. That's how I found
Wow.
out. 3 days after my birthday.
Oh. When
Yeah.
he said it, did you know what he was talking about?
Yeah.
You had
Which
heard
made it
about it.
even worse because in my head, Parkinson's was an old white man's disease because that's what we
Yeah,
grew up on. You never seen
exactly.
a black woman, especially a black woman at 52 with Parkinson's. So, I it was a shock because I kept trying to figure out, how did I get Parkinson's? Where did it come from? Nobody in my family had Parkinson's. And I'm
Right.
and I'm African American. I'm a woman. I'm a
Yeah.
young woman at the time. So it's just like, where did it come from? So it's a lot.
Yeah. Did they tell you anything about, like, okay, how you got this? What could have caused it? Did they talk about any of that?
They asked me certain questions. They asked me like, did I work in factories with textiles? I said
Hmm.
no. Contaminated water? No. Um, it was what else? It was contaminated water. It was like a lot of things.
Pesticides, where there's
Yeah,
pesticides
yeah.
and stuff
It
like
was a
that.
lot of
Yeah.
things that I didn't,
Yeah.
I was not around or
Yeah.
had contact with that they were saying. But then, you have to do your own research. And I
Of
tell people
course.
all the time, once I got my butt out the bed and just decided, like, I'm not going to let this take me out, I started doing my own research. And you find out, like, there are other things that will cause Parkinson's that they probably would never talk to
Yeah.
you about. So,
Yeah. We're going to get into that because I think that we
mhm,
want to definitely make sure that people are aware what this is.
yeah,
Did they tell you what you need to do at this point? They're like, okay, you have this disease. Here's what you need to do to slow it down, because we know that Parkinson's it's not a death
it's
sentence.
not true.
However,
Yeah, yeah,
it's hell to go through. So what did
it
they
is.
tell you? Yeah.
Okay, so after they diagnosed me, they put me on. I should have had it out here, but they put me on a pill. It's called Opodopocolopa or something like that. Some weird name, but I have to take two
Yeah.
tablets 3 times a day, every day. I have to wear this patch. It's not a nicotine patch. It's a Parkinson patch. I have to wear this every day and change it every 24 hours. And that helps control the shaking, the involuntary movements, and stuff like that. It kind of helps you control it, and you have to keep moving. Meaning, you got to exercise, and you got to cut back on a lot of the bad foods that we eat all the time. So it's a lot of things. You have to make a life change.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, you just can't take the medication and expect for everything to be okay. You have to do other things. That's why I say you have to read up on the disease itself and compare what you're doing in your life now to what you should be doing now because you have this disease, and then you make it work for you.
Were you doing some of this stuff already, or was it a complete
Yeah,
lifestyle
like
thing?
working out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a walker. I always like to go walking. And that was
Okay.
another thing that started going downhill for me was walking. I used to walk every day for exercise. It got to the point where I didn't want to walk because I was stiff. I could barely move. So, but yeah, you gotta move.
Wow. So let me ask
You
you
have
about what was
to.
going on in your head. Did you ever become angry with God?
Oh yeah, we had it out. We had it out for real. Like I grew up in the church, and I know you're not supposed to question God at all, but baby, I had a bunch of questions for him because I didn't understand it. I just felt like I was being punished for something that I did, and it was like, what did I do so wrong that you would do this to me? Why me? Why can you give it to this person? This person did this in their life. They're doing this. Why they not being punished? That was all me. Until that day, he hit you upside the head and said, I gave you this for you to help somebody else. And it took somebody else coming into my life to tell me that because I still wasn't having it. Until this person said to me, you have this disease because you're supposed to help someone else.
Wow. And that's why you agreed to come on the show
Mhm.
and tell. Yeah. Because
Because I had no
we
faith.
like, yeah.
I had no faith. That faith went out the window when I got Parkinson's disease. It was like, you know what?
See, I
Because
like you. I like how raw you are with that. You were very honest.
yeah,
You were like, no, no, no. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had faith. But we all know, guys, and I love that you're saying this because so many people will deny this. They will say,
mhm.
no, I had faith. I trusted God. No, you didn't. You were pissed. You were angry at God and you couldn't
I was.
understand why he allowed it to happen to you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
but we still repeat Romans 8:28, which reminds us that all things work together for good for those who are
yeah.
called according to their purpose. Because the thing is, we like the good stuff that happens. Yeah, God
Mhm,
used that. But when it comes to something like this, it's very
mhm.
difficult to accept that God is using this for your benefit. So you got it now, though. You realize it now.
I got it.
Yeah.
It took a minute, but I got it.
So what else did it take other than people encouraging you to tell your story? What other kind of things did you help you get to
Um,
this place of faith?
because I thought about my grandkids a lot. I have 4
Yeah.
grandchildren, and my worst fear was waking up not remembering who my grandkids were. Because Parkinson's messes with your mind as far as
Yeah.
dementia goes. It'll start you off an early onset of it. And I was so scared that I was gonna wake up and not know who my grandkids are. Anybody who know me know how I feel about my grandkids. So I was scared. I was really frightened, not being able to remember who they were, not being able to play with them. You know, it was a lot that I started thinking about what I couldn't do if I don't do something to stop this disease from spreading rapidly. And that was it. It was kind of
Yeah.
like you had to look and see your life before your life happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It does.
So,
You know, in my research about this disease, there are two
mhm,
factors that really make it come on, especially once you get it, that makes it come on faster. One is stress, and the other one
mhm,
is the environmental factors. Those
mhm,
kind of things really. And when you were talking about the questions they were asking you about your surroundings and the environment and
mhm.
all that, that is something that they found brings on
Yeah,
Parkinson's. Yeah.
yeah,
So it is very important. And I know that this happens, and I'm just going to be political for a second. It happens a lot in our neighborhoods where they dump stuff and it's not a good
yeah,
environment and nobody cares, right? And then before you know it, we're all sick. And this is one of the reasons. It really is. Parkinson's is brought on by that. No one really knows that what it is you can do to get it or what it is you could do to make it go away. Because once you've been diagnosed with it, you're gonna have it. Like I said, it's not a death sentence, but it's not curable. There is no cure. But now we know
yeah.
God can. We know God can. We
And
know
that's in
that.
my prayer. I pray
Yeah.
that every morning. I
Yes.
always say, now, I know you can cure it when you're ready, please do.
Yes. I know, right? So I want that when you guys are coming on, I want you guys to comment, ask questions. Bessie says, keep doing, don't stop. It's God's grace and his mercy.
Hey,
That's right,
Auntie.
Bessie. See, she's already,
That's
thank you for
Bessie.
always being in her side, on her side, and encouraging her, auntie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. You know, so I want to talk a little bit about, so now that you've been diagnosed with this and you're doing your exercises and everything, have you met someone else who actually has Parkinson's? Like, do they have support groups of different people that maybe you can talk to?
We have. I've met other people. Okay, so we have a place here. It's called In Motion, where people with Parkinson's go to work out and exercise and stuff like that. It's kind of like a therapy center, pretty much. So when I went there for the first time, Ella, I walked in, I sat down, and I'm looking around. The worst feeling was I was the only Black in here, the only female, and the youngest person in the group. They were all older white men in their 70s or 70 years old to 80 years old, who needed assistance with walking, who were using wheelchairs, walkers, everything. And I'm sitting there looking like, this is going to be me. It was so depressing. I said, I'm not coming here. I'd rather work out on my own. And that's what I've been doing. You know, I check in there, go every now and then, but going regularly there, no, because it makes you depressed because you're looking at your life happen in front of you before it even happened. And I couldn't take that because it was sending me into a depression. And I didn't want to be depressed. I didn't want to be sad. I just wanted to act like I didn't have Parkinson's. You know, let me go on with my life and live it like the same way I was living it every day prior to this. But going to that facility, yeah, no. Because the lady kept telling me, oh, you can meet people in here that you can connect with. Oh, you can find someone that you can talk to.
Yeah, right. No, we have
like,
nothing in common. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, no. But
no, I hear you.
It's a good facility. You learn a lot, and you can go there and work out to get out the house and stuff like that. But me going every day, absolutely not. No.
So are you in pain a lot?
It doesn't work for me.
Are you in pain a lot?
Yeah, your legs. I will tell you. For me, my legs and this one shoulder is the worst. Like your legs can hurt so bad, so you don't want to walk. But they give me this pain cream to rub on it when it bothers me like that. I just rub some cream on it, keep going. So you know, you learn to manage it. Like once you figure out what are your worst parts of the disease, then you figure out a plan to how to control that. So I know that my legs are the worst. So I work out with my legs a lot. I do a lot of walking, a lot of stretching, because I never want my legs to get tight. I don't never want to lose the ability to walk. And I tell people, you have to move. You have to, that's it. That's the key. You have to move. No matter how bad it hurts, you have to move.
Yeah, because you and I both know that one of the things that this disease does is that it stiffens your legs up. That's one of the things. The tremors, a lot of people know it from the trembling and all that. That's just part of it. That's just part of it. But yeah, it takes it on the longer you go. But you know, I want to remind everybody. Everybody knows Michael J. Fox. When we think of Michael J. Fox, we already know he's one of those people. But he was diagnosed with it in 91. He was 29 years old. He's still alive, you know? So he's been battling it. And you're right. Most people do get it later in life. You know, it's not it really does happen. But you know, this is where you are now. The other day you and I were talking and you said, you know, Ella, there's actually more. There's actually more that I didn't tell you in the write-up that you sent me. And I want you in just 3 words, 3 or 4 words, tell us, what is that other thing?
The other thing is, without saying exactly what it is, it would be, I'm not a victim.
That's right. Okay. So when did that start happening?
Roughly in 2002.
And was it with someone that you knew for a long time, or you grew up with them, or what was the
Um,
relationship like? What was the relationship like?
it was probably had been together for about 2 years. Um, yeah. So I've known him for a
Mm.
couple of years.
So you knew him
And
for a couple of
one day,
years.
that first little slap or
Yeah.
push or shove happened.
And what did you immediately think when that happened? Did you think this is random? It probably won't happen again,
I
or
did.
he's upset? And did you make excuses for it? Is my point.
I don't think that I made excuses. I think I was stunned more than anything because I remember, like it was yesterday, the first time that he hit me. I said to myself, I said, did he just hit me? I know he didn't hit me. He must have lost his mind. And I hit him back, is what happened. So it was kind
Now
of that
that
like,
I don't ever usually hear on this broadcast. I never hear that here. So thank you.
oh,
You hit him back. Yeah.
I hit him back. And then it was kind of like, that was the end of that situation. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you know
Did it
how it goes. It happened
did it
again.
continue? Yeah, I was just gonna ask you because it usually does.
Yeah.
And when it happened again, how far apart was it from the first time to the second time?
Maybe a week
Oh,
or two, because it wasn't, I know everybody's situation is different. I think a lot of people
right.
who go through the domestic violence thing, it's probably an everyday ongoing thing. Mine was sporadic. It would be, everything would be good for a couple of weeks, and then boom, here you come and you want to argue, fight, or something. It was like, I don't know, it was just weird. And, you know, it, I never called myself a victim because I feel like that's giving him power.
Right.
And that ain't me. Anybody know me know I'm a fighter. So it was kind of like I was trying to figure out what was wrong with him. Why are you like this? What did somebody do to you to cause you to want to do this to me? Because it has to be some type of underlying issue with you in order for you to do that to somebody who cared for you, who was helping you, who made sure you were okay, like those types of things. So I don't know. It was kind of like I was trying to figure
Did you
out
did
not
you get
why
an
you.
answer? Did you get
No,
an answer? No. So
mm-mm.
you never found out why he
not
was doing
not
this to
while
you.
we were together. No, I found out later on how he grew up, how his
Yeah,
lifestyle was, and then I said, oh, it makes sense.
makes
It
sense.
made a lot of sense. But at the time, I couldn't figure out what it was because it was bad. It was really bad.
So talk to us about that bad. What bad things did he do?
Bad things that he did was, and I know my family is probably watching this and they probably gonna be pissed, but things that he was doing to me, like a couple of times, he pulled my hair out to the root and I would put it, have to put Barbie pins in there to
Yeah.
hold it on to some other hair that was in my head. Um, he bust my head open before. He kicked me down the steps in the apartment building that we lived in before. I was bruised and battered so badly before until I couldn't go around my family because makeup wouldn't cover it. You know the whole thing. You got to put a little foundation on and go on the move. It wasn't like that. I had to stay inside until it cleared up. Um, yeah, it was a lot of fighting. It was a lot of fighting. And it got really bad because me being who I am, and I'm not going to let someone keep doing things to me, I started envisioning myself committing murder. And I'm being totally honest. It got to the point where I planned out the whole thing, how I was gonna kill him, what I was gonna use to kill him. And I told him, I said, I'm going to kill you if you don't get out of my house. And that's
Wow.
how it all started. You need to get out, or I'm gonna be in prison and you're gonna be dead. Because you're not gonna continue to destroy my life the way that you're doing it. And I think that kind of like, I guess he knew that I was serious.
Yeah.
So he kind of like packed up his stuff and halfway moved out because they leave a little knick-knack here and a shirt over here, and then they say they
Yeah.
can't find something, they got to still be at the house, so there's a reason why you're coming back. And then that blew up because now I done moved on with my life, and you coming back to my house, so you're gonna meet the person that I moved on with now, and now that's gonna turn bad because he gonna beat you up. So it was just going back and forth until I completely got him out of my life and away from me because I had to live for my kids, and I didn't want to go to prison because I wanted to see my kids, and I didn't want my kids to have to bury me. So it's time to go.
Did your kids witness all of this?
Not to the extent that people would think. They probably heard a lot, but they ain't see the whole hitting part of it. They probably heard a lot of the arguing. So
Yeah. Yeah. Did you
yep.
ever have to go to the hospital behind those beatings?
Once, because my eye got messed up. I got hit in the eye, and I don't know. I couldn't look at daylight because it had damaged some type of retina or something in my eye, and I had to stay out of the daylight, sunlight, and stuff like that, bright light for at least a month for my eye to heal.
Wow. Did you ever call the cops on him?
Oh, they came before, and they told the last time I think that he came, and it was a big blow up. The police told him not to ever come back to my house again. Basically, if you come back, you're gonna go to jail, or the whole nine. He lied and said he didn't do anything. He wasn't over there, and the cops was like, she's standing here with her shirt and stuff ripped up, crying, and you were saying that you didn't do anything. So it was kind of like, yeah,
Wow.
it was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I've interviewed quite a few domestic violence survivors, because we're not victims anymore, that have been on
Mm-hmm.
here and shared their story. So when you mentioned that, but you also said to me that you feel like that has something to do with your diagnosis. Talk to me
And
about that. Why do you think that?
I've told them that because me doing my own research and reading about Parkinson's and things that cause it, I was trying to match things together because we figured
Mhm.
it's not hereditary. I never worked in the factory. I never lived near contaminated water, and certain things I've never done. The only factor out of that list of things was head trauma. I've never been in a car accident, but I've been hit in the head. So then I started putting the puzzles together. It was like, wait, all this time when my head was getting damaged or getting hit, you were damaging your brain. Because when I say I was, it's because I was allowing this hitting to happen. And that's what made me start reading more about head trauma and what causes Parkinson's related to head trauma. So it
Yeah, I
was kind of
mean,
like,
yeah, because in my research, I did discover that Parkinson's is caused by a loss of nerve cells in your brain.
mm-hmm, yep,
Um, and when I heard that, I was just like, how did you get how do your nerve cells just go away in your brain? So I was just
just
like,
die, just die, yep.
yeah. So from this experience though, what would you say if you're gonna just accept that, okay, God allowed this for it to come on me? What do you think you have to share to other people so that they will do better and
Okay.
take something from this?
For women in general, I would say when you're in a domestic dispute with your partner, or whatever, that hitting of your head can have long-term damage. I'm sitting here because that's what happened to me. You have to realize it's not just, oh, he slapped me upside my head. He's damaging your brain. If he's hitting you in your head with something, he's damaging your brain. If he's hitting you in your head with his hand, he's damaging your brain. So in the long run, he has damaged your brain 10 years down the road. It's going to come back, like with me. what I would tell you to take from my situation would be never give up when you find out that there's something wrong with you. You have to keep moving. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your life. It's not the end of your kids' life. It's a lesson. And you have to figure out what the lesson is and what the test is going to be and what grade you're going to get on it. And I give myself an A because I stuck with it.
Does it get hard sometimes though?
It used to be extremely hard. It was hard. But like I said, once you get somebody in your ear that's constantly pushing you, it's not that bad. And I have a great support system. I do. But I always tell people it's good to pray with people, but it's good to have somebody that's praying for you.
Yeah,
So
that is so
you gotta,
true. Now you mentioned earlier about dementia, and I just want to let people know that that is one of the things that can happen when you have this disease. In fact, the statistics show that like 4 out of 5 people get dementia. And I think, I mean, did they say anything to you about maybe taking some brain, how you have all these vitamins and supplements that help with, those functions to strengthen them? Did they offer any of that, or?
Not yet. I don't think I'm at that stage yet where they feel like I need it. Because I've been diagnosed since 2022. So I've had this disease for 3 years that we know of. I'm sure I've had it for longer than that. We just didn't know. But they haven't gotten to that stage yet. But I do read, and again, my friend also reads, and he finds about the different vitamins and go natural and do this, or let's try this. This probably will help. He keeps me up on that type of stuff. So it's a lot that you can do to help you. And I tell people, of course, I know I can't be cured, but I can do things to stop it in its tracks. So when I do go to my examinations, it's been a month since my last checkup with my neurologist. It's always, you're doing great. You have not changed. And I be looking like, how I'm doing so good, because I don't see it, because I still be thinking things going wrong. I be like, man, but hey, I'll take it. If you say I'm doing good, I'll take it.
You have made up in your mind. And I think that is why you're going to be able to be a spokesperson for this and encourage people. It's because your mind, you have to change your mind. Because if you change your mind, I think you can change your life. And I think that's how you're changing your life. It's not through the medicines. It's through your faith and your will to live. And will to live comes from here. And then when it gets in your head and it gets in your thoughts, now it's in your heart. And once it's in your heart and you're like, I'm winning, I'm going to fight this thing, that's what comes out of your mouth. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I think that by speaking this, you're changing your situation every day. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And when it gets tough, you just have to just rely on what you've been told, what you've been trained. You mentioned that the old folks back in the days when we were in Alabama, don't ever forget that training, because I'm telling you that's real. That's real. And for people that are watching this broadcast that I know you, that are from Alabama, like we both are from, they can relate to that. They can relate to that. So how are the kids dealing with this?
Well, they were way stronger than me. I can tell you that much. My oldest son, he's more the laid back one, was like, it causes this. He reminds me so much of my Uncle Leroy, because he's the one that always is very nonchalant about stuff. My middle son decided to go back to medical school, and he lives in LA, California. So he's taking medical courses now because, quote unquote, he wants to find a cure. My younger son, that's my daddy. He's pretty much the one who said, get out the bed. You got to figure it out. Get out the bed. So they actually are doing great with it. It didn't change how they looked at me as their mother, You know, it was not, oh my God, my mother got Parkinson. It's just like another part of life.
Yeah.
So, you know, I
I
think
mean, I
pretty
think
much none of
you
my
have a
family,
uh-huh.
none of my family took it like, oh my gosh, she has Parkinson. Trust me, we all cried the day we found out. I mean, everybody here in Ohio, yes, I'm telling on you guys, boo-hoo cried because nobody could believe it. But after that first week or two, it was that stuff was out the window. It was like, girl, get up. You got to get a plan together. You got to move. We got to figure out what we gonna do, how you gonna do it. You got to exercise. You got to get out the bed, take your butt to work. It was all of that. So, you know,
See, I love your attitude about it. Like
yeah,
you've taken this. I said, okay, God, I got it. And you did like a lot of people would have done. You were like, okay, what's up? Why me? Yeah, we all ask those kind of questions. But
yeah,
then you realize, why not me? Why
yeah,
can't God use me? Right. And so you're
yeah.
running with it. So, but you also dealt with this domestic violence. What would you like to say about that? Because that's actually a lot of the platform. And you know why? Because you remember Tasha, right?
Uh-huh. My
She
cousin.
was, yes, she was
Yeah,
um a victim of domestic violence, and that's what
yeah.
took her life. And after she
Mm-hmm.
passed away, that's when I started bringing people onto the show to talk
Right.
about their domestic violence story. She was the inspiration behind the
Mm-hmm.
Ella Johnson show. Getting behind domestic violence was Tasha.
Okay.
Yeah. So
What I would say to any woman, young or old, that's going through a domestic violence case or situation right now, I would tell them that the first hit is to tell you what's gonna happen tomorrow. That first hit is not gonna go away. That first hit is going to be the next 10 hits, 100 hits, 1,000 hits, death hits. Because if you don't leave, you're going to end up in prison because you're going to take his life or he's going to take yours. It does not change. I don't care how much they say they love you. I don't care what they buy you, what they give you, it doesn't matter because their hands is always going to be on you. You have to leave that first hit. I get it. People think they're in love because I was that person. But that first hit, no, don't wait for a second. Just don't. You have to love yourself more than you love anybody. And if you can't love yourself more than you love someone else, it's going to be hard for you to leave. That means you need to reach out for help. You need to tell somebody, like, listen, this is what's going on in my household. I know I shouldn't be doing this or I shouldn't be allowing him to do this, but he's doing this to me, and get out. Just leave. Because I've wasted so many years of my life fighting with somebody who didn't deserve for me to fight for. And
wow.
you can't stay. I just don't care. I don't care if he hit the Mega Millions the next day and he's giving you half of them winnings. Let him keep that money and you take your life and leave, because that money will still be here and you're going to be dead, because that's what happens. And I tell people, I'm not telling you something I don't know. I lived it.
Right.
For 4 years,
Yes.
I stayed in an abusive relationship for 4 years, and I have scars. I have things going on with my hair and spots. And I know my stylist probably watching, my daughter-in-law. She probably saying, oh, that's why she has a bald spot, because he pulled my hair out. So it's like, no, you have to go. You can't stay. It's nothing to
And she
stay
did.
for. What are you there for?
That's true. That's true. And I have one of my previous guests that's commenting because she's also a person that went through domestic violence. You'd be surprised, because one thing about domestic violence, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter about your religion. It doesn't matter about your class, your faith, race. None of that stuff matters. It happens to a lot of
Mhm.
people that you think wouldn't be going through it, and we're
Right,
finding a lot of that out. So I'm really glad that you did get out, because a lot of people don't get out.
right.
um yeah, they don't have a plan, they don't get out, and Tasha was one of those people. So
Well, yeah,
she didn't have a chance to tell you what you're telling everybody, so we
yeah.
have to do it for her, right?
All right,
We have to do it
absolutely.
for her. Yeah. So listen, guys, I just put this link here. If anybody wants to come on before I get off of this show tonight, if you would like to come into this broadcast and maybe you want to say something or you have something you'd like to add, please click on that link and come in, because we're going to be out in probably the next, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. But if you want to come in and share that. So what else do you have going on, Miss Lillie?
Well, I'm going to start a blog, and it's called, it's going to be based of African American women with Parkinson's.
Okay.
And that's my next thing. And then I want to do a fundraiser to raise money for Parkinson's as well, because that's something else I learned about Parkinson's. They don't get a lot of funding. I know a lot of places focus on cancer and lupus and all those other diseases, MS, but they don't really focus on Parkinson's as much. So the facilities in Motions, we do walks and they, raise money that way. So I'm gonna do it this year, but I'm coming up with my own thing. I like being out on my own, so I'm gonna do my own walk, Parkinson's walk. Reach out to my family, which I know my family will support me and stuff like that. But it's I have things in works. I have things in work. So, I'm excited.
I love it. I'm excited really for you. I'm excited for you because I think that staying busy like this, you don't even think about it. You're focusing on, you're letting God worry about that Parkinson's and you doing your work that God has you to do. And I love that.
I love me. So my friend says, you can't be talking to God like that. I said, yes,
why not? Why not?
I said, you can talk to him like you talk, period. I can't go to him being somebody else. I have to go to him and be myself. So I told them, I said, well, okay, so you gave me this disease. You want me to help somebody else who's probably suffering from this disease, who does not even know they have it. I got it. But you owe me one. So,
That's right. And if it should ever get tougher, Lillie, I know that you have people around you that are going to remind you of this show and remind you. Remember what you said on the Ella Johnson show? Ella Johnson will remind you what you said on the Ella Johnson show. I want to see you on the other side of this because I think that you're going to bring a lot of people. And I just truly believe that sometimes God does allow things to happen to certain people because he wants you to be a spokesperson for it. Yeah. And you are,
this is the new face of Parkinson's.
Yeah, exactly. The new face of Parkinson's.
Ella's going to write a book about
it. Well, we could definitely do that. I was going to ask you. I think a book definitely needs to be written about it. Because you shared a lot of stuff tonight that a lot of people just kind of brush over. You didn't stop going to the doctor. Most people would have been glad to hear there's nothing wrong, but you were like, because most people would have been like, oh, you didn't find anything? Okay, maybe it is in my head. And they would have been happy, but you kept going because you know
if I sneeze 3 times, I'm going to the doctor. Why I'm sneezing so much? So if I'm coming to the doctor, I just felt like at the time he should have said, I know my patient, something is wrong with her. Let me figure out what's going on with her. He didn't do that. So I no longer see him as my physician anymore, but he really thought it was in my head. And I was telling him my hands felt funny. I was having a hard time opening, opening like the bags and stuff. Like it was crazy. And he would say, no, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. So I don't know. It was just, I guess that was God's way of telling me to keep going.
That's it. I want you guys to watch this video because it's very inspirational. I want you to watch this. Why you shouldn't stop.
Meantime, for the first time since disclosing he has Parkinson's disease, the Reverend Jesse Jackson today spoke out about his health struggles. But as Roseanne Tejas reports, the illness did not stop him from participating in his Thanksgiving tradition.
It's full speed ahead for 76-year-old Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was helping serve Thanksgiving dinner at Rainbow Push headquarters today. Thankful to be scooping green beans and feeding homeless Chicagoans, but acknowledging it's not as easy as it used to be because of his battle with Parkinson's disease. Tell us a little bit about how that impacts your Thanksgiving this year.
Well, another reason to be grateful to God for life, living, and to accept challenges.
Known for his booming voice and boundless energy,
We must never surrender!
these days he's finding it tough to project and easy to fatigue.
You're talking audibly to yourself, but it's a drop in the decibel, so to speak. We stumble upstairs 2 or 3 times, not because the stairs move, because you were not picking up your feet high enough, for example.
But Jackson's focus, the cause and cure for Parkinson's.
We're going to turn the private challenge into a public policy concern.
He says affordable health care, especially for veterans and homeless people like these, is key. But today, these folks were happy to receive a turkey dinner.
I'm so very excited to be here. I really enjoyed myself.
It was a blessing to be here.
Roseanne Tejas, CBS 2 News.
Jackson says he's forming a national commission to help find a cure for Parkinson's disease. Meantime, for the first time,
Wow. That's what I'm talking about.
That's
right?
one of the other things that Parkinson's does. It takes your voice away. And that's something that she asked me when I go. She says, "Does people has anyone ever said to you they couldn't hear you when you speak?" I said, "No, not this month. Absolutely not." So that's something else you gotta. Don't just think that you got a soft voice. You could really have Parkinson's, because that's one of the things that happens that people don't look for in Parkinson's. And I tell people, constantly telling people here, Parkinson's is way more than shaking. It's not just shaking. It's just not having an uncontrollable movement. Sometimes you can't move your legs. Your appetite changed. Girl, I have lost so much weight. I thought I was sick with something else. After I found out I had Parkinson's, because I was losing weight, was just falling off of me. It's so many things that happen to your body with Parkinson's that you will be shocked. So I beg everybody, anybody who's watching this show, whether you know me or not, if there's one thing that's going on in your life that's not normally happening before now, if you started snapping your finger, you can't figure out why you snapping your fingers, ask them to test you for Parkinson's. Don't just assume something. Don't wait for them to do it on their own, because you could wait too late. And I thank God that I was persistent about going to the doctor, because what if I wasn't? You know how far along this disease progressed in me before I found that I had Parkinson's? So if there are things that they don't understand or can't figure out, ask them to test you for Parkinson's. They can't tell you no, because that's a test that you want done for yourself. So put it on the table to them. Don't wait for them to tell you anything, because I'm telling you, you will sit at home and wither away trying to figure out what's wrong with you. So tell them you want to be tested for Parkinson's disease. If you start forgetting stuff and people say, "Oh, that's normal," which it is, because, you know, even at 20-something, I probably walked in the kitchen and was like, "What I come here for?"
Yeah.
Tell them you want to be tested.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion. So, because you don't want to wait. You don't want to
That's
just,
right. That's
assume that the doctor knows what he's talking about. I get it. He went to medical school for 99 years. I get it. But he's not always right.
He's not always right. That's right. And I also found out what makes it get worse. One of the things we've already talked about is stress. Stress makes it get worse. Dehydration makes it get worse, as well as infections.
My Lord.
And I went even further to say, okay, well, what are some of the things that can happen that could cause death with this? And it says pneumonia, especially aspiration pneumonia, and injuries from falls. Those are the kind of things, because you better believe this disease, when it progresses, it does slow down your movements. You have tremors. Those are all part of it. And so those are the things that they said, based on the statistics, are what causes death when you have this disease. But lifestyle choices and factors are some of the things that we have to consider, Lillie, moving forward, because right now, where people are, if you're not diagnosed, these are some of the things that you should look at to try to make your life better. One of them, regular exercise. How many people, you remember when we were younger, you couldn't keep us off the street, walking up and down the street.
Man,
walking
Yeah.
all over town, everywhere.
Everywhere. Walking to the grocery
Yes.
store 5 or 6 times during the day.
If you want to
Yeah.
get there, you got to walk, right?
Yeah.
And when we get older, we tend to move away from some of those things. And these are the things that we need to incorporate, even if it's just, I don't care, a couple miles a day, just move, right? Do something that pushes the heart rate. Healthy diets. That's another thing that Parkinson says, that these are some of the things that we should be doing anyway, but we really need to do it to keep from some of this stuff onsetting. And then avoiding exposure to environmental toxins.
Yeah.
And some of that, I think we don't pay attention to it. We're just like, well, this is where I live. What do you want me to do? I get it. But just realize, and I like the idea when we were wearing masks and stuff, because if you are in an area where it's bringing in a lot of toxins into your body, if it goes in, it's not going to do good things when it gets in your system. Yeah. So what would you like to say before we get out of here, ma'am? I appreciate you for coming in and telling your story. Well, let me ask you this. I got one more thing to ask you. If you had a wand right now, if I handed you a wand and that wand was, Lillie, if you could change anything about this or anything in your life, what would you change? Would it be this?
Would it be this disease? That's a tough one, but I think if I had a wand and I could change anything, it wouldn't be this disease though. I wouldn't change this, because I think this is for a reason.
Yes.
I'm still working on a reason, but I feel this is definitely for a reason. If I can change, I probably would bring back all of our family members, the older ones, like my grandmother, Georgia Toad, as everybody called her, your mother, Cora, my mom, Cora. Like, I think I would bring all those people back, because without those people, our families are just broken.
Ooh, that's deep.
So I think I would want that back, because this disease, I can fight this. Yeah. But I think I would want the people back. I would want our people back.
Yeah, so I wasn't expecting that.
I wouldn't waste it on this disease, because it was given to me to fight for whatever reason. Like I said, he's still working on me as far as that goes. But I know this disease was given to me because I'm supposed to fight for me and whoever else is coming behind me with it. So
that's
I guess I'm supposed to be that long. You see, I'm still standing. So,
that's a very good answer, because most people would have said, and it was kind of a trick question. I kind of knew what you were going to say. Yeah. Because most people be like, what you mean? Yeah, get rid. But you realize this is bigger than you. This is bigger than you. Yeah.
And the disease does not stop you from living. It doesn't stop you from living. You have to still live your life. So
yeah. All right. Well, I am just so excited. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, I always love to bring people on to tell their story. Now, that wasn't that bad, right? Because you told me before, you were like, oh, I'm kind of scared. Look at you. You did.
No,
because you know what?
Not bad at all. You made me very comfortable.
Well, that is exactly what it's all about. This is a very safe place, because there's nothing but love here. And those of you that are out there and you're watching this podcast and you would like to share your story here on the Ella Johnson Show, by all means, please hit me up, because that is what we do here, right? Well, we're going to get out of here, Lillie. I appreciate you. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back next week for another broadcast. I have no idea what it'll be about. You know how you love to pitch. Well, next week we're going to talk about, I don't know what that's going to be. Who knows? It might be you. So if you're out there and you want to share your story,
what's that? Suggestion
for
a show.
What's that?
I would like to see a man who was a part of domestic violence, who may have caused the domestic violence, to come on your show and tell why he was the way that he was. That would be the best show ever, because then you can have the both sides. So I'm gonna call these men out. You're cowards if you want to come on the show. Prove me wrong. Just prove me wrong.
I've said that, and anybody that's ever been on here, I've always said that I want to interview the men, because I think that they need help too. And
they do.
They need to, they will help us by being brutally honest and feeling safe to be
Yeah.
brutally honest about why
Yeah.
they did. If you say it's because she was easy to do it to, if you say because she let, I mean, whatever that reason is, I want to hear it so women can hear it.
It was her fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
I want the
I would
truth.
love
I want
to
the
see that.
truth because this show is about changing people's lives. And I always,
Mhm.
always believe that there's two sides to every story. So that's what this
Yeah.
show is all about. So if you're out there, please, I would love it. If you find them, you send them my way, Lillie, for real.
You know,
All
I
right.
feel the hit now.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time right here on the Ella Johnson Show. Have a great evening. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.